Ladies and gentlemen, please rise and remove your caps for the singing of this year's national anthem.
All right, go ahead, Byron.
And with that, I'll welcome everybody back to this week's edition of the Walkthrough, where we check off the week's most trending topics here on a short holiday week. I am Byron Lazine, your co-host, along with Eric Simon, the broke agent, back as a normal guest, Danny Deals, the #1 team leader in all of the island, which is long, not as long as Dan, but pretty long. And we've also got
Long-winded.
his good friend, Charles Weinrab, the handsome home buyer, the man who is breaking the industry apart from a building perspective. And that's what we're going to lead off with from topic number 1, what Charles and his crew are doing to help the inventory issue. 3D home printing. You guys have been featured in CNBC. You've been featured everywhere. CNN, all over the place. You have been written up about on this process. What is 3D home printing, and what's your take on it for the future?
So 3D home printing, automated construction in general, is the future. No question about it. I'm blessed to be a board member of SQ4D. I feel it has the leading technology in the industry. Everybody's familiar with 3D printing. Little printer, they put it on your desk. It prints phone cases, figurines, all kinds of things like that. Well, the founder, Enzo Pagani, saw that and said, you know what? Why can't we just make a giant one of these gantry-style setups that you see in the picture there and just 3D print a house and have it extrude concrete and do it better, cheaper, faster, and with less people? And that's exactly what he did. He spent 5 years perfecting that, and now we are literally 3D printing houses out of concrete all across Long Island.
And so I'm not familiar with 3D printing, really. I know the concept, but the first thing that comes to my mind is the house going to last as long as a stick-built home on a concrete foundation?
So, typically, I guess you guys have heard in sales, better, cheaper, faster. You can have 2 out of 3, but you can't have all of them. In this case, you actually get them all. So you have a house that is built way cheaper. The parts of the house that we 3D print, so we're currently 3D printing the forms, the footings, the foundation, the interior, the exterior walls, and we're about to start doing the roofs. So all of that is roughly 40% cheaper than if you did it with traditional construction of stick built. As far as does it last, we're giving 50-year warranties on anything that is 3D printed. Being a builder myself, building 100 plus houses a year, the most I've ever given someone on a brand new construction is 1 year. That's the industry standard, where with 3D printing, we're giving 50 years.
Wow. All right. So 50-year warranty. So it's going to last longer. It's 40% less expensive to build than a stick-built home, depending on whether that savings get passed on to the consumer or not. That would be the cost perspective. And then how about timing?
So timing, it's also roughly 40% faster as well. So instead of having dozens and dozens of people and all these inspections where you have to stop. So, anybody who's familiar with construction, you would do your excavation, you would put your wood forms, you would have like 3 inspections during that process. You would fill it with concrete, then you have to let it dry, then the framers come in, and you just keep on and keep on. With 3D printed construction, you don't. You have inspections during the process, but the machine is still moving. So once you do your excavation, the machine is 3D printing those forms, so you don't use them as wood. Then we backfill it in, that becomes your footing. Then we print the slab on grade foundation or soon basements. Then you're doing the interior and exterior walls in one shot, and then the roof. So the machine never stops. There's no time that you have to wait for things to cure, because it literally dries in time to build upon itself.
You guys are blowing up on TikTok. There's a lot of interest in this. I think the TikTok is like gaining tens of thousands of people per week. Every time I look at it, it's up again. Dan is your agent on Long Island. Charles, you've flipped hundreds of homes, you've built hundreds of homes on the island, and Dan is your go-to guy. He's going to be listing and selling the first 3D printed home in the US. Dan, how do you plan on marketing this and educating consumers that, you know, this is a safe buy, this is something that they should be fighting over as opposed to traditional new construction?
Yeah, I mean, if you think of, you know, how much Charles and Sal with SQ4D have already blown up on TikTok and some of the YouTube videos that they've made about this, they've gotten hundreds of thousands of views. So the interest is really there. And it's just a matter of educating people on why this is so special and why this could potentially be the future of building in real estate. And I think a few things that Charles didn't really touch on that I love when I go to the site is the fact that every time I go there, instead of there being 40 different people there and trucks everywhere and people working, these guys are literally throwing around a football. There's maybe 2 or 3 of them, and the machine is just printing and working while these guys are are tossing around the pigskin. The other thing too is I've been there in the pouring rain, whereas a typical stick build, you're not working, or the guys use it as an excuse to have a day off. The machine is still printing in the rain. So as I lose my light here, there are so many advantages of this. And the other thing too that I love after I've gone through the process with my house is you don't have to line up 40 different trades. You don't need a plumber. You don't need a guy. You don't need an electrician, right? Like the machine does all of those things. So you don't have to worry about getting all of those trades. And you got to think too, the design is whatever you can possibly think of, you can do with a 3D printed house. Anything your brain can think of design wise, this machine can do it.
That leads me to think some homeowners are going to come up with some wacky, unsellable designs in the future, because when you let a homeowner pick, sometimes it can get a little crazy. Charles, who's the savings, the 40% savings? Is it going to go into your pocket or the consumer's pocket?
So it really depends, obviously, on who's contracting to build, right? So if a homeowner decides that they're going to buy a piece of land and they want to 3D print a house and they're going to subcontract SQ4D, or their construction manager is going to subcontract XQ4D, they're obviously going to reap the benefits of the savings. Me as a developer, being the first private developer to use 3D printed technology to spec build a house and list it to be sold, the market's ultimately going to decide. Nobody really cares what I paid for the land, whether I overpaid or underpaid, or how much it cost me to construct the house. It's just a matter of basic supply and demand, which in Long Island, like most of the country, is crazy. And then B, there's also that cool factor. So with the 3D printed house, first of its kind, 50-year warranty, fireproof, floodproof, insect-proof. It's going to have a gray water system where it harvests rainwater and uses to irrigate the lawn. It's going to have a Tesla charging station. It's going to have solar panels on the roof. And then as we go further, it's going to be radiant heat with the future models. It is really the house of the future. The coolest part is, just to touch on this real quick, if you're a homeowner that wants to custom build your own house, you design the entire thing in virtual reality. You put the goggles on, you're in the street, you're strolling up to your 3D printed house, you're moving walls, you're changing colors, you're ordering furniture in virtual reality. Two people show up with a trailer, they put a machine together, and in 40 print hours, you have 40 to 50% of your house done.
So right now, the pricing is pretty predictable. It seems like, I'm going to get your opinion on that here in a second. Moving on to topic number 2 here, there's an Inman article just this past week talking about the cost of lumber, right? So how people are traditionally building their homes. Lumber prices sawed in half in second pandemic era plunge. That's the headline from Inman. The price of lumber has taken another dramatic downturn, just the latest wild swing for builders in the cost of home construction. So we saw it peak out earlier this year from a high point in March. It is now down 47%. That's according to NASDAQ.com, again reported on Inman. The number of new home projects declined over at least part of that time, dipping by 0.2% in April. Obviously, we have mortgage rates going up, but the uncertainty of these lumber prices have caused builders to pause, right, and say, I don't know what it's going to cost me. It's swinging wildly. I just don't know, so I'm not going to do anything. What's your take on the lumber prices? Because you've built hundreds of stick homes as well, Charles, stick-built homes. What's your thoughts on building stick-built right now? in comparison to the consistency that you can predict on 3D?
Yeah, I mean, you can't even make the comparison. You know, for smaller one-off builders, it's not as bad. Hopefully, you're not buying off of super slim margins. But if you're like a giant builder, like a Lennar, and you're coming in, you're going to rip out tracts of houses, 2, 3, 400 at a clip, and you're going to pre-sell these things. If you don't have your contract set up that adjust for change in lumber prices, which a lot of times you can't, those guys really, really, really get hurt because a lot of them are working off pretty slim margins to begin with, and they're doing the volume. Now imagine a lumber pack goes from $45,000 to $90,000 in a few weeks. It's a problem. It's a really big problem. And it's not just that. It's the wood flooring. It's the cabinets. It's everything.
Are you building any stick built right now?
Yes, absolutely. Building a ton of stick built right now.
So why are you building stick built? Is that you already paid for that material, so you're locked in? Why are you even doing any stick built?
Well, it's a combination of a couple of different things. A, the technology is super new. So we have the one prototype machine. We're about to launch generation 2, which should be ready in 60 days. And then we're going to start manufacturing the machine. So everybody that's watching this or watching the TikTok has to realize this is cutting edge technology literally happening right now. Like, we are actually changing the way we do things on the site every day that we're doing it. It's really developing in real time. So while 3D printing is awesome and we're printing houses right now, we don't have enough machines right now, A. And B, the municipalities, while for all the smoke and mirrors, it's a concrete house, right? Concrete houses are everywhere. They're all over Europe. They're all over down south. In Florida right now.
All over Florida, yeah.
Yeah, you have to build concrete in certain situations.
That's right.
But the municipalities have to get comfortable with understanding, hey, a robot's going to show up and 3D print a house while 2 people watch. So we've gotten the approval process in a couple of municipalities going on, but that's going to take a little time in order for everybody to adopt it, to then have enough machines and then manufacture enough machines to really meet the demand.
In an environment right now where inflation is running wild, things are costing more every single day. This lumber it's gone up, it's crashed down, it's gone back up, it's crashed back down. And it's created an environment where we're still not getting enough homes built in this country to meet the demand. There's a lot of buyers out there that just prefer brand new. They don't want to buy an older house, even if that's what's available on the market for them. Dan, just in your experience with your team, having the #1 team in Long Island, are you seeing a lot of buyers that want a new product that is not available right now?
Yeah, of course. I mean, there's definitely a shortage of land, especially here on Long Island. We're fortunate enough to work with Charles and a few other builders that have some projects that are coming out. But just like Charles had mentioned, it's really tough to gauge where these lumber prices are going to be. So I've had a couple of deals already fall apart where the builder is trying to work something into the contract that really protects him, and the buyers aren't going for it, or at least the attorneys aren't. So it's something where I think the demand is there from a buyer perspective, but it's tough to have the buyer and seller meet in the middle, especially with all the inflation and prices that's going on in the world. That's why the 3D printed house is the future of real estate.
Yeah, I mean, another big thing that we haven't talked about, which is labor issues. I mean, anybody out there that's an employer that's looking to hire people knows it's not easy to get people, period. There's a very big shortage of people in the construction industry for a number of different reasons. People just aren't going into the trades the way they used to. And that's another reason. Listen, necessity is the mother of all invention. That's one of the major reasons why the 3D printer was invented. You can have 2 people, like Dan said, playing football, throwing the pigskin while this machine just goes and 3D prints a house.
You could hire me for that. I'll fly up to New York and run some routes with Dan. Get paid by the hour.
Another problem that we have, specifically here on the island too, is the system is so antiquated with the building department. So for these builders that are doing the regular stick tradition, or even just a regular house trying to get a CO or a permit, there's like 2 people that work in the building department. They are just sitting there with their headphones on the entire day, not doing a single thing. So everything just takes so long to get done.
Somebody might be taking a hit out on you right now as they listen to this from the building department.
That's a problem in a lot of states, though. It's not just New York.
Yeah,
California, you can wait 2 years to get a permit approved in California. There's a lot of states that are, have these building restrictions. Obviously, just building in general. If you want to build something a big project, and Charles, you know this better than anybody here on the panel. If you want to build a big project to meet buyer demand right now, well, it's not like an overnight thing. You're talking about 5 years down the road, almost in any state that you're going to build in. New York and then California and the other coast are two of the extremes in what it takes to get a permit, past the finish line. That's just one permit, not even a whole project. So if you say, okay, well, I've got a piece of land, I could meet buyer demand. I could go out and build, 50 to 100 units here. You're not going to be completed on that project for 5 years. Really, no matter where you are from start to finish.
And that uncertainty as a buyer perspective, who really wants to wait around for 2 to 5 years? You don't even, as a builder, you can't even give an exact timeline for the completion. So that's one of the biggest uncertainties, and I think why we have a tough time with new construction in our market.
Yeah, we certainly need more of it. So hopefully with the 3D printing, we'll see. We'll keep following you. Make sure you're following the squad on TikTok. What's the TikTok handle? Because I love your TikTok.
Oh, mine. Oh, it's mine is at handsome_homebuyer, and SQ4Ds is SQ4D builds.
SQ4D. That was the one I'm referring to, but I do love yours as well, Mr.
Thanks,
Handsome. All right. Checking that one off and going on to next topic here. CNBC reports mortgage demand falls to the lowest level since the end of 2018, even as interest rates ease just a bit. So we saw that in the last week. They kind of eased up on us. Applications for a mortgage to purchase a home fell 1% last week compared with the previous week, according to MBA, Mortgage Bankers Association. Volume was 14% lower than the same week 1 year ago. Prices continue to rise because there is still little supply, like we talked about on the market, but different tiers of buyers are seeing different pictures. So we've got less people essentially looking to buy a home. And if you put up the recent chart from KCM, you can get access to these charts. You can try this for free essentially by going to kcm.com, try kcm.com/BAM, or using the link down below. You can see here that the lending standards, which were loosey-goose in 2003, 2004, 5, 6, and 7, have gotten extremely tight. And even with this market, the lending standards have not eased up. Even when we see prices going up and we see inventory getting, tight, we have not seen the loosening of the standards that we saw from 2004 to 2007. This is creating an issue that we're faced with right now as we get into, this recession, as we get into more of an uncertain economy, that there's just going to be less buyers. And Dan, I'll start with you. I don't know if you're actually seeing it, if you're facing it in your market. There's many agents that are saying that they're seeing it in their market. I've done a couple posts on Instagram where I've had a lot of respondents say, yeah, we're seeing a slowdown. Is the shift happening? Are we faced with less buyers right now?
Yeah, of course. And some people are in denial, but unfortunately that's where we are. And I think you said something the other day on Instagram, and I actually wrote it down here. So supply for homes jumped 9% last week, year over year. Pending contracts dropped 4% in April and down 9% from last year. So that means less homes are selling and more homes are coming to the market. I went on maybe 7 listing appointments last week, and out of those 7, every single person had the most unrealistic expectation of what their home could sell for. And I'm talking $50,000 to $100,000 more than any comps would suggest. So to me, what that means is people are realizing that they missed the boat the last 12 months. They're seeing what their neighbors, or maybe what they believe are their comps, have sold for, and they're looking to get that or more. And unfortunately, it's not the same market that we were in 12, 8, 6, or even really 3 months ago. So with less buyers in the market and more homes, it's natural that we're going to see. And I'm seeing it all over our market. I actually turned down 2 listings this week, and both people went for sale by owner because I genuinely refused to list their house for the price that they wanted. And I've never had a situation like that ever.
I put up a poll just a couple of hours ago on Instagram, and I asked, buyer demand, has it slowed just a bit, Has it actually gone up, or is buyer demand unchanged? 70% say that it has slowed just a bit. 9% said it's actually gone up, and 22% say it's unchanged. I don't know how Instagram's coming up with those numbers because it seems like it's 1% off.
Of 30 offers and $100,000 over asking. You're still going to get a solid price for home. You're going to get great activity, but it's not going to be the activity that we saw a year ago.
I list houses every week on the market for the most part. I'm not seeing any shortage of buyers. Obviously, it's definitely a little bit more mellow. But what went on the last year was not normal, was not sustainable. Anybody who just jumped into the business, like, that's not reality, right? So I'm still seeing a lot of people. I'm having 10, 12, 15 offers come in a lot of cases, depending on the house. The issue that I'm seeing now is you don't have a lot of qualified people. Rates have jumped so much in such a short period of time, and these people aren't requalifying. A lot of loan offers that, jumped in that weren't in the business before, that were doing a lot of refinances and now are moving to purchase business. I don't think people are being qualified properly. So I've had a lot of situations where people aren't qualified.
And put that chart back up, Bobby, that we just showed at the top here from KCM, Keeping Current Matters. It shows how tight the lending standards are. Volume of loans in billions with a credit score less than 620. Less than 620, you're not getting a loan, basically. I mean, you can see it from really the last, since the crash, the last 10 plus years. If you have a credit score under 620, under 600, it's going to be difficult, right? And so not qualified is a different terminology today than it was in 2007, 2006. Am I right? I mean, Charles, you were selling homes then.
Yes.
We're in a different place than we were then. It's going to be harder. I'd use charts like this, like Dan mentioned. I've got sellers with this expectation that they're going to get a certain price on their house. And that price doesn't exist right now in a shifting market. There's not going to be the demand to maybe push it up at quite as high as it once was. I'd be using those charts from Keeping Current Matters, from KCM, to help educate my seller on the listing appointment. Here was the standard back in 2007. We had a lot of, really easy availability for these loans that we don't have today. That's going to restrict your buyer. I'd show them the CNBC article that we just referenced, where mortgage demand falls to the lowest level since the end of 2018, which, by the way, the end of 2018, we all remember that's when interest rates went up to 5%, where they are today. So it's no surprise that we're seeing less home shoppers. Redfin, Realtor.com, Zillow, they're all saying it. We've got less leads for all of the teams that they serve across the country because they have less people hitting the app, because there's less people that are qualified and there's less people that are interested, whether it's buyer fatigue or the qualification. And this is the information that homeowners in your community need. Hit the link below so that you are armed with this valuable information that KCM provides every single month. You can try it for free. Try kcm.com/BAM or hit the link below. Get access to this, because right now, and Dan, I don't know if you're with me on this, I believe that homeowners are going to start, instead of just taking the first agent that shows up and listing their house because they know the market's hot, I believe over the next 12, 24 months, homeowners are going to be listing 2 to 3 agents, and they're going to be very diligent in selecting the best one who's the knowledge broker and help them understand exactly what they need to do to get a high price in a more uncertain market. Dan, are you with me on that shift?
I mean, I sure hope so, man. I really, really hope so. I put out a listing today, and I was actually thinking about how much time, energy, and effort I put into this one listing, between an all-day video show, between sitting at the kitchen counter with the seller and going through the pictures they like and didn't like, and the amount of time and effort that we put into each and every single listing. I sure hope so. And that would be the best thing for this market, because it will naturally weed out the lazy agents who aren't using professional photography and who aren't really doing anything. 3 key strategy: pictures, trade. I forgot the third one.
All right, great. All right,
Great.
it's wonderful.
Wait, real quick, Byron, since you haven't looked at me once this entire episode.
I didn't know you were still on,
which is fine.
Yeah,
I thought
we're talking some high tech stuff here.
Yeah, exactly. No, I can't wrap my brain around 3D printing. I had nothing to input there. But I've also noticed a shift, not in the market, because obviously I'm not, an active real estate agent like you guys are, but I've noticed a huge content shift. A lot of agents talking about the shifting market. I did a poll on my Instagram yesterday just saying, have you noticed a market shift? 81% said yes. So
and that's a big audience, obviously.
And a lot of people are saying, listing agents are reaching back out to buyers after open houses and stuff like that. So I think just, in Facebook groups like Lab Coat Agents, Real Estate Hacks, on Instagram, other meme pages and everything, everyone's starting to talk about this shift. So maybe it's also kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy, but I think it's happening just based off of content for sure, from what I see.
That means there will be a shift in the broke agent content because Eric, you'll have a new conversation happening.
I've had enough of the seller's market memes. Honestly, it's been going on for a year and a half, and just life of a buyer's agent. I mean, how many times can I post the same caption, right? So I am ready for a shift in content.
What this also means is that agents, your brand right now is going to be the most important asset that you have. If online leads are not flowing out of the faucet like a fire hose, you're going to have to really understand how to leverage your brand, how to build upon your brand, create those relationships through it. And our last topic that Eric's going to share with us is going to help you get leads when Zillow can't do it for you. It's going to help you create opportunities in your market to collect emails so that you can go ahead and then speak to the consumer and the homeowner directly. So I think, Eric, we want to bat it around to Charles, myself, and Dan on how we're generating leads right now from a sales perspective, generating emails, that is, collecting emails specifically.
Yeah.
And then you're going to share with us the big hack that everybody should be doing to collect emails in their market. So Charles, what do you do right now to build an email list?
So I use Constant Contact, hooked with my CRM. Weekly, we go out there and, we list for people that want to be involved in the newsletter. I do a tremendous amount of networking. So I always, not as much recently, but when I started, I was out there 3, 4, 5 nights a week. I'd constantly be taking business cards, going on social media, weaving my way into people's lives in a non-creepy way, and then putting that into the email.
Yeah. So hand-to-hand combat, which is a slow trickle in, right? That might be 10 or 11 contacts a week, maybe more.
It's a combination. It's a combination of using that and then blasting out on social media and having people opt in, using a text platform. I'm doing, 20 or 30 things consistently well all the time.
Okay, Dan, what are you doing to collect emails?
Mine is very similar to Charles. And what I used to do was put out potential scripts or advice for agents. And I would say, if you want me to send this to you, send me your email. I would do it on Facebook. I would do it in a lot of Tom Ferry groups. I would tell people what was working in my market and what was working for me. And I would get their email that way.
and those are going to be mostly agents, it sounds like.
Yes.
Script. Yeah. So that'd be more of a referral play. One thing we've done in our local market is, and it's really a slow trickle, is, we have a weekly radio show and we give away a gift card. So we do a lot of contests on the radio. So if people call in, homeowners would call in, they'd engage in that contest. We'd get their email and their address and all of that. But, you're collecting maybe 5 or 6 in an hour show, adding them to the email list. Eric, you've got something that can get you hundreds in a day if
thousands.
You do it right, even thousands in a day, depending on your market. If you do it right and you provide some type of value that the consumers in your market are actually going to want. They're going to want to download this. So, Eric, what should people be doing to up their email collection game?
Yes. Well, this is not revolutionary. I'm not the first person to create this lead magnet. I did not invent this, just for the record. I don't know who did, so I can't cite my source here. But what we've been doing, which has been working tremendously, and how I've built my list, the Broke Agent, and now a lot of BAM's list, is by doing ebooks, doing a 1, 2, 3 page downloadable PDF. You connect it to a site like leadpages.net or leadpages.com. And basically, it's just an email capture. It's a free ebook that you're giving out really important, useful information. We do this for agents. So this one today, created it yesterday. It just took one day. Your weekly Instagram prescription. It's basically how can agents post on Instagram, how many times per day, how many times should they post on their stories, how many times should they DM people, how much time they should spend doing community engagement and commenting back to people. And we threw this link up yesterday, and around 5 o'clock so far, we have 1,500 people who have opted in to this lead magnet in 18 hours, basically. So it's so much more powerful than a blog post or something like that, because you're giving them something that's kind of a little bit more exclusive. They download it straight to their inbox. So instead of just saying, hey, click this link, head to this blog post, here's the information, turn your blog posts into actual PDFs. So for agents, you could do buyer guides, seller guides, something very simple. Have your graphics department put some like images on it and just say like, hey, you want your first time home buyer guide? Click this link in my bio or click this link in my story, download it now. And that's how you get all the email captures.
And one thing, I mean, I know I'm going to have a shift with the team in Connecticut immediately seeing the success of this ebook. If you're sending out direct mail, QR code to download this marketing report, right? You're already spending the money to the direct mail. Why not collect a percentage of emails off of that direct mail piece by then giving them an additional value piece, right? Download your marketing report, pretty postcard, QR code, and then they go to the lead pages or something like that Eric mentioned to download that report, and you get the email. There's a lot of different things. It could be, like Charles, it could be the top 7 renovation hacks that bring you the most money because you have so much experience in that to go ahead and give the value and collect the email.
Also, in these lead magnets, once you actually click download, another email gets sent. So you're already sending a follow-up email to them right away the second they download the ebook. So there you could upsell something, whether it's a course or another PDF or a link to your website or a link to your YouTube channel or something like that. So you could plug a bunch of stuff in that ebook as well. So not only are you capturing the email, but you already have an immediate touch point right afterwards. So we did this yesterday, like I said, and 1,300, 1,400 emails already. It's crazy. And it's because it's that feeling of exclusivity that comes with the ebook. Highly recommend for all agents to do this.
Eric texted me that it was the best day of his life. So you can only imagine how dark and depressing those other days have been for Eric.
Yeah, that is very true. It was a great day yesterday. I mean, getting emails is a difficult task these days. A lot of people don't want to opt into things, and pop-ups on websites don't work as well as they used to. And, if you want to go around like handsome here and hand out your business card like a lunatic to 5 different networking events, I mean, that's obviously very effective. And I commend you for doing that. But I'd rather just throw up a link, have a 3D printer next to me, printing up some food or something, and then I'm good to go,
Well, Eric, you can also monetize that list, right?
Yeah, of
That's
course.
right. Yeah.
Yeah. I
mean,
monetize everything, Dan.
And obviously that's the play on BAM, but think about this from a team leader perspective. Maybe the inspector that you work with, the vendors that you work with, if you're a team leader or if you're a very successful agent that works with a lot of vendors and you can build a really successful email list, hey, I'm going to feature you at the bottom, just like BAM does. And by the way, if we'll put the link in below. If you're not on the BAM email newsletter, this is a great model for how you should be building out your newsletter in your market. So we'll put the link for you to sign up to that below. But you could just take this and use that as a model in your market. Use a sponsor, a vendor that you already work with. Hey, pay me X amount per month. I'll put you at the bottom of my newsletter once. I'll include you in my ebook. I'll do these different types of things that are co-branding the vendors that you work with in your community, heading into times of uncertainty, a way for you to promote them and earn another source of income off of all these transactions that you're creating as the solo agent, as the team agent, whatever it may be.
One more thing I want to add about the importance of the email list too is just that we have no idea what's going to happen to social media platforms in the near future. We have no idea what's happening to Instagram tomorrow. The algorithm shifts every single day. Maybe your audience just drops off out of nowhere. Maybe your TikTok gets deleted for some reason, your Twitter gone, Facebook gone. So the email list you actually own, and that's your direct audience. So you got to be everywhere. And this is something you can control directly. You control how often you send it, and you can actually get in a cadence where you have a pretty good open rate. And, those are your direct clientele. So you own the email list. Super important in an age of uncertainty with social media.
Jason Pantana, we'll wrap here. Jason Pantana just put out a Instagram reel that he said marketers, expert marketers who were surveyed said, what would they not give up? They would give up social media. They'd give up direct mail. They'd give up all these things before they'd give up email. Email was the last thing they wanted to give up before any of those other tools. They would even give up social first because email is highly engaged if you do it right. All right, good stuff there. Way to bring some value finally, Eric, at the end of the show. We really appreciate that.
Ricochet shot, Jesus.
Eric now looks frozen at the right time.
Am I frozen?
No, he's back. He is back.
Oh my God.
All right. Appreciate you, handsome home buyer. You were looking quite dapper today. Looking great as always.
It's like the cover of NBA Street Volume 2 over there on GameCube, it looks like. You ever play that, Dan?
In Brooklyn right now, Jesus.
Exactly.
Danny Deals, if you're not following Dan O'Neill on Instagram, you are missing some of the most outrageous white summer pants you'll ever see out there in the Hamptons as he gallivants Long Island real estate all summer long. Make sure you're connected with us on BAM. We'll see you guys next week. Appreciate you.